Bandung. Yeah.
Bandung.
Shakti is from Sri Lanka. Professor Jafari is from a library somewhere, I think in Wisconsin. I'm not sure. Hira,
Bandung.
Hira is our tech person and all-round nice person from Japan. Leah, you're from Sembulan in Lombok?
Yes, I am. It's Sembalun.
Sembulan, that one.
Yes, that one.
And Gandhi Marinas from Batticlaw in Sri Lanka, and Lavenya is from Batticlaw in Sri Lanka. So it's a great team. We're still waiting for one person, but while I've got everyone here, you know, part of the reason I wanted people from both countries is because you share the same problems, you know, and I think that you can learn from one another. So much of the work that Shakti and Marina and Lavanya have done in Sri Lanka, I think, is quite innovative, and so is the work that you're doing, Leah and Weewin. So you know, it's sort of like you complement each other. It's just that because you're in different countries, you never talk to one another. So it's wonderful that you could get together, and I certainly hope you can keep in touch if you can.
Thank you for linking, Prof.
Well, thank you for suggesting the day, Shakti. Yeah, so Shakti and Lavanya and Marina are all doing work in a program. It's called this S4IG. What's that again?
Skill for
inclusive growth. Yeah, and that's funded by the Australian government essentially in Sri Lanka. And it's a big program and it's a wonderful program. So, and you've been going now for what, how long, Shakti?
4 years. We completed
4
4
years.
years. Yeah.
And been refunded.
Yeah, for another 3 to 4 years.
And there's Malcolm Cooper. Look at him. He's looking younger every day, I think.
Thank you. How are you all?
Good, thank you.
Good, thanks, Malcolm. Malcolm, I think you might know Weewin. Weewin, have you met?
Hang on.
Well, actually, I know all of you by the book.
That's good.
So you're famous, Malcolm.
Huh?
Pak Malcolm, Pak Noel, Pak Jafari, I know you by the books. I read.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So please check your name and make sure you are co-host, because I'm going to set up the Zoom functions that if you're not co-host, maybe you cannot have some of the functionality. So everybody is co-host, right? Thank you very much. And we are going to start recording. We are already on live stream on YouTube, and people who for some reason couldn't register are going to watch us on YouTube. We're going to recording and everything ready to go with today's webinar. Okay, so Hira, please let everybody come in. Hello, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to you from SCoT webinar series again on the Tourism for Inclusive Growth Day, which is the World Tourism Day on 2021. And today we are going to discuss in a very special occasion, how tourism for inclusive will happen with COVID-19 and the problems that caused by this pandemic. Today's moderator is very famous. He already organized several webinars with SCoT. Professor Noel Scott has worked as a tourism consultant and academic researcher for 20 years and led research and consulting projects in sustainable tourism, tourism branding, destination management, tourism product and experience design, and China tourism. International clients included the UNWTO, OECD, ASEAN, Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Australia Awards, Indonesia and Sri Lanka, and government of Fiji. Prior to starting his academic career in 2001, Professor Scott was a senior manager in a variety of leading business, including tourism and even Queensland. He is an adjunct professor of tourism and management at the Sustainability Research Center of the University of Sunshine Coast. Before I pass the floor to our moderator, I would like to invite our curator, the SCoT lead curator, Professor Jafar Jafari, to enlighten us with the opening remark. Professor Jafari, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Qasim. Thank you very much for organizing this conference. Thanks to my good friend Noel Scott for doing this. And I have a problem with my computer. I hope you don't. It's showing on the other side, but this side is jumping all over. Anyway, thank you. Welcome to this session on a very special day, the World Tourism Day that we are celebrating in practically every somehow there's a little or a big event on this. Right after this session, I'm supposed to address a group of people on the occasion of World Tourism Day in Iran. So there are a number of places are celebrating this day by having webinars such as yours. And I think the theme of this year's World Tourism Day, which is inclusive growth, very much agrees with the theme of the SCoT webinar series, because we are also talking about inclusivity in tourism. In other words, those of you who have been to SCoT webinars before, you already know that we are not talking about big companies, big airlines, mass destination, over tourism. We are not talking about big things. We are talking about the people who have been forgotten, small communities, small operators, minorities, etc. Which is exactly the theme of the SCoT series. Is very much reflecting the theme of the World Tourism Day. Growth. I personally don't like one word in the theme of the World Tourism Day, and that's growth, because in many countries they translate growth into volume. Things have to get better, bigger, and volume is not really the intent. More tourism is not necessarily. And again, this is some of the things we emphasize in SCoT series, changing, replacing quantity with quality, arguing that if we have local people involved, local people take ownership, local people gain jobs in tourism, then that form of tourism is going to be more authentic, more sincere, more appealing to the tourists. So again, what I'm trying to emphasize is the theme of the World Tourism Day is the same song as SCoT webinar series is trying to play every single day. As to another keyword in this theme, tourism for inclusive growth, it doesn't have to be always should be translated. It should not be translated always. Inclusivity in different countries, different situations means something different. So I think those who are privilege to enter tourism, whoever they are the people that should be, the door should be open to them to have come to tourism and do their part, which is again going to be sincere, authentic, and coming from the land. And that is what the tourists want. You are not here, ladies and gentlemen, to listen to my opening. I simply wanted to ceremonially open the session because the main theme is in your hands, and Dr. Nora Scott is going to forward with this discussion. Once more, thanks for joining us today, and thanks for Happy World Tourism.
Professor Nora Scott.
Thank you. Thank you, Kazim, and thank you, Kazim, and thank you, Professor Jafari, for those kind words. Look, I won't talk very much today. I wanted to really put the focus on the people who are going to be doing their talks, people who are actually conducting tourism projects in Sri Lanka and in Indonesia, which are developing inclusive growth for the benefits of the community. And so I'm very proud to have been able to meet these people, both in Sri Lanka, but also through a number of projects that have been done by Australia Rewards Indonesia. And so there's a lot of good things, a lot of good projects happening around the world. And the good thing about having people from both Indonesia and Sri Lanka talking today is that you'll see that their work, they're dealing with similar problems. These problems are with communities, grassroots development, and so there's expertise in many different places, both in Sri Lanka, in Indonesia, but also in other places around the world. And it's wonderful that we can use webinars and these forms of interaction to discuss issues. And I hope that it will stimulate some ideas for everyone. So I'm going to stop talking and introduce our first speaker, who is my good friend, Shakti. I'll call him. Shakti, how are you?
Thank you, Prof. Good. Thank you.
Shakti's a bit of a devil. He's always smiling. Look at him. But he works as a business development specialist in Sri Lanka, and he has introduced me to a lot of interesting things in Sri Lanka. And we've done visited some wonderful places in Sri Lanka together, especially, for example, the Veda people and the burgers in Batticlaw and around there. So it's a wonderful place. Over to you, Shakti. Tell us about your project.
Thank you, Prof. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to my friends. Happy Tourism Day, and thank you for this opportunity. Let's go to the presentation immediately. So I am going to talk about the tour action groups, how we formed and how we work. And let me go to the slide. Hope you all can see the slides. Yeah?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to talk about our program experience in Sri Lanka. We are working in two provinces of Sri Lanka. One is North Central, the other one is Eastern Province. And we were working with conflict-affected community, like Professor said, and we were able to work with them and develop some tourism activity groups. And our program is called Inclusive Growth, Skill for Inclusive Growth. And we started working in these two provinces, and now we expanded ourselves to other areas. And simply speaking, what we did was we were able to work with some communities who have special activities which can be kind of transferred, or which can be shared with the tourists. So we worked with them and we were able to develop them, and I will be talking about that shortly. And in this slide, you can see these are the groups. So as Prof said, this is the traditional group. who collect honey and other forest resources. And this is another traditional dancing group, belongs to a community called Tamil community. And what we did was we were able to, meet all the groups in the villages, and we gathered a big meeting. That was the first step we did. And then we were able to come up with some criteria and selected the groups based on the uniqueness, means whether that kind of a cultural activity is present in the other part of the country, or whether they have some other specialties. Based on that kind of a criteria, we were able to select them, and then we trained them in groups. The specialty what we did here is we trained all members together in some training. We use them in some places, as well as we train the leaders separately. And also we used trainings, mentoring, demonstrations, coaching, and business counseling kind of activities, and we call that call that as blended skill development project, because we were able to blend different delivery systems of skills to these people, and we were able to form them into groups which can work as tourism experience sharing group or tour activity group. And the important activity we covered during these workshops or discussions is, one is about costing and pricing. The other is about different packaging. So we don't only go with a single guest package, we go for multiple. And also we make sure equal participation for women and person with disability is always there. So as our program is also focused in skill for inclusive growth, we were working in that strategies. During the discussion, we can talk about the activities what we did in order to accomplish this. And then we link them with tour operators, and also we work with the other tour operating groups. And we had two main approaches after learning. Number one is we always try to collect the groups around the properties or famous properties. So we at the beginning we were able to doing activities here and there, but later only we found it is always feasible and good to have the activities around the properties or famous properties in order to work with them. So that was one of our approach. The approach we call it, the other one is IOP model. So whenever the experience comes, we were trying to do it in an interpretation way. So we try to see what are the parts we can do interpretation. The other one is about giving a chance for the visitor to get good observation. So we were able to sharpening their observation power to make them understand how the experience looks like. The third part is the participation. For example, when we do, we are having a traditional dance where the girls will be having the pots in their heads and dance in a balance. So when you see that, you don't see the real experience. So we were able to get participation by them, and we give a kind of same pot, and then we wanted them to dance. Then only they will see the importance and the critical part of those kind of experience. So these are the two models we did. Always we try to see whether they are a IOP component is built, and also we try to see whether the cluster approach is there. And then we were able to create some banners and posters and brochures because our community was very much disconnected with the tourism. Because of that, we were pushing them to understand the activities and try to explain that to the visitors. So you can see the handloom as well as traditional dance and the handicraft items captured in these brochures. And also we had some websites to promote this. So because of the time and other constraints, I think this will be a good introduction for you all. Later we can have more discussion during the panel. Prof, over to you.
Thanks, Shakti. So our second speaker is just having a few problems with his, oh, there's Ilham. Ilham, how are you going? Are you okay to present now?
It's okay. I'll be fine, actually. It's actually in Makassar. Is 6 o'clock is a prayer time for sunset.
Oh, okay.
So I would rather if I can do it first and then later come back for the next turn. Will that be possible?
Of course. So I'll ask Weewin if we can to present. Are you okay, Weewin, to go now? Great. Okay. So
okay then.
Thank you, Ilham. So
I'll be back with you. No.
Great, thank you. So Weewin's been working in tourism for, I find it hard to believe because she doesn't look this old, but she's been working in the field for about 25 years. in tourism, and
I'm old.
no, and she's working. She's been doing some work for a number of national and international NGOs in tourism. So we went over to you for your presentation, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, good afternoon, probably good morning, everyone. Happy World Tourism Day. Thank you for the opportunity to share my work with Bajo community in Mola National Park, Pakatabi National Park. First of all, I would like to share my screen. Hope it works fine. How is it?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. My work with Bajo community, in fact, was part of the program called Mandiri Bersama Mandiri Pariwisata Berkelanjutan, or in English, it will be self-sustained with Mandiri Bank Sustainable Tourism. We call it MBMPB for the short of the terms. It was a joint program between British Council and the Bank Mandiri of, it was a state-owned bank. And since 2012 up to 2015, however, the implementation in the MOLA is around, I think, 2013 and 2015. So it was not the first project under this program, but the second and the second project. The aim of the project is to encourage economic development in a region by improving the community ability to manage tourism business, and by through the introduction of creative and productive activities in tourism. And we hope that in the end we could contribute to this to the development of self-sustained community. Oh, sorry. So I would like to begin with who is this people, this distinctive people? Who is Bajo? Well, Bajo is an ethnic that we know as a sea nomad in Indonesia, especially in the eastern part of Indonesia. There are several sea nomads in this area, actually. The one we know in the neck of the peninsula called the Moken. We know also sea people in the western part of Indonesia and Malaysia and Singapore in the past. And today we are talking about this community, Bajo ethnic, the sea nomad. People usually call sea gypsy for this ethnic. So they are both dwellers. They live from the sea, and they were very famous for their skills in sailing and in fishing traditionally. But they are very reliable in the sea. And until 20th century, they are still living on the boat, but recently it's hard for us to find these people living on the boat. They usually already living on the coast of a mainland or small islands. So I would like to introduce a little bit about the area where this Bajo Mola lives. It is in the heart of what we call the Coral Triangle Initiative region, which involves 6 different countries in the neighboring area. The national park, also well known as Man and Biosphere Reserve Site of the UNESCO. It is also listed as, it is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but in the tentative list. So for Indonesia, it is one of the most important destinations for diving. So here is the area. The national park has 4 big islands and smaller ones. And the Bajo people live in this area, especially in the eastern coast of the Wangi Island, the biggest island in the national park. So this is the aerial view of the settlement, Bajo settlement. They came to the area in about 1558, long before the national park as well as the regency is established. They were given permission by local leaders, local ethnic that rules the area of the island, to live there and build their stilted house. Because they don't have, they live in the area does not belong of them, they cannot develop the area as they wish. However, the development is now become bigger and bigger, and we can see how compact the area, because in one house they probably live 2 or 3 families, because they cannot just develop their own house. So if you see this yellow block, it is the gate of the area, and this is the port. It's not really a big port, but it's a humble dock for people, visitors or local, to get on board to transport to another island in this area. So if we see this, this area is already passing by visitors, come and go before the Bajo Mola ice, but they don't really receive the benefit of tourism. So we see the potential, and because of the compactness of the area, we consider it as a destination. Not today, it is about 5 villages there and 7,000 inhabitants, but we can see it as one destination. How was the process when on this area? As other programs, we have several phases, but I would like to highlight the process of bringing 5 villages together was not easy, because they usually work individually. But when we asked them that you can be a one destination, a strong one with their cultural similarities, and finally they agreed to do so, and we were very happy. The planning process took about 3 months, and the development process, the implementation of the plan, is about 11 months. It's not so long, but because due to the resources, lack of resources. As we combine the social enterprise planning process and tourism development planning process, at the beginning of the process, we have a workshop that helps the community and also us understand what problem is in the area, within the area, because social enterprise usually solve one of the problem by using a social business. So they found many problems, but they decided to work on some of the problem through this program. Funny thing, one of the program is about lacking of collaboration between or among the villages. So by getting them together in one destination, we already I feel like we've already pushed them to work together. And the second issue or second problems is lack of Bajo culture awareness by themselves. And the third is the lack of understanding about tourism and how to develop and manage one sustainably. Here is some of the process. I won't get into detail, but this planning process was designed by the program to let the community able to come up with a sensible plan to be submitted to the donors, and we also carry out a study visit, because I learned that it is very helpful for them to see the other people or other community to conduct or to carry out tourism in a sustainable way. While the planning process designed by the program, the implementation actually carry out all the activities that was designed by the community during the planning process. So here are the activities or that designed by them. You can see how they address their problem in Bajo culture and tourism. And we can see that they have different competition and different programs for young and young ladies, as well as the school children. And in the tourism problem, they have lots of training and also even some events there. Okay, I'm not going through these numbers because we've already discussed it in the previous slides, but I would like to highlight how much voluntary works done by community. I think more than 2,000 hours recorded works, and additional 2,000 hours for community post-workshop activities, which is not recorded by us. To conduct research, they did their own community research about their culture, how these sky objects are used by their ancestors, etc. They did their own survey, making the equipments, carrying out the cultural related events, etc., etc. And we use also hundreds of hours of village offices. Those are part of the MOU developed by us, that the villages will take care of the human resources and the facilities that that can be used during the program. What is the result of this program? First of all, is an organization that will take care of tourism business in the area, and they have to also take care of these facilities that has been constructed during the program. And they also have to operate and market their products. They have 4 different products, main products. First of all is dolphin watching, usually done at dawn. This is an opportunity for visitors to learn about dolphin in Indonesia, in the area, and how it benefits humans, and as well as how they interact with Bajo people. The second experience is cultural walking tour, where the visitors can learn about and experience some of the Bajo Mola daily life. And the third experience is canoeing, where they can the visitor can learn about the role of the Bajo Mola to the local economy, provincial, as well as national economy. And the last but not least is the storytelling, where the visitors can learn how these sky objects can help Bajo Mola navigate their lives. Visitors also can experience how to use Bajo Mola skills to reading the sky objects. So what is the impact of the program after it is being implemented? We have carried out a reflection session, and we see this destination is recognized as a solid tourist destination in Wakatobi at the time, which is known as in Axis. It also provides example then for tourism development in the area. They were invited to participate in various tourism-related activities in the area and outside. And I can see that they are more connected to the mainland tourism system. And in 2018, they entered the Indonesian Sustainable Tourism Award and become one of the few finalists of the competition. And the impact also happened or occurred in the personal level. They see it as the program as a good experience, new experience, lots of knowledge they gain. They also see the program helps them revive the culture, understand tourism and how to manage tourism in a community level. But I would like to highlight the personal growth they experience. They see the program as helping them to build confidence to appear in public, sense of togetherness as a Bajo people, Bajo ethnic, capacity to work independently and manage time, which is difficult to do before, and to be persistent. And they see that they have further opportunities by being able or by have this kind of soft skill and get another option to further develop. And the pandemic hit them and hit all the community-based tourism in Indonesia. But fortunately, with the help or with the cooperation with Travel, a tour operator, and the support of the Ministry of Tourism and Economic Creative at the time, we managed to help some communities to transfer to adapt their real tour into the virtual one. And in 2020, and it was I think it was a successful one, because then they can sell their experience virtually, but they can sell other products after the virtual experience carried out. And the buyer, of course, those who are joining the virtual experience. We also invited Bajo Mola people to develop their virtual experience. However, at the time, they couldn't manage to develop one. But fortunately, in 2020, they finally have confidence to go virtual. And I can see that they learn a lot from the process, because once again, they go beyond their comfort zone. I think they enter another new skill of areas. So I'm happy for them because I still can see their persistence to grow. So what lesson I take from the program, or we take from the program? There are lots of lessons, but I would like to highlight some. First of all, to be able to create optimum learning and therefore growing, the participation has to be community control. They have to make the decision maker of the program. And trustworthy facilitated processes provide more secure atmosphere for them to make a decision, especially for the community that has not been working on that path. While we can also balancing with the purpose of the program. So the trustworthy or the facilitated process actually provide a sensible path to grow for the community. And real benefit is important. It's hard for us to make the people stay in the program unless they see what is it for them. So fortunately, they are not looking only for money. They see participation. From the reflection, we can see that participation provides non-monetary benefit for them. And they also see the necessary quick benefit they gain from the events, cultural events they created or they implemented during the implementation plan. And it is confirmed that the high-level participation create or increase sense of belongings, and it extended up to the program is ended or finished or accomplished. One key that I learned from this process, that community sense of self-confidence is very important to develop in the beginning of the process. Soft skill trainings helps, but it will take some time for them to absorb or to become the skill as their habit. But we see that another way to develop this self-confidence was there or were there. One of them is trust and opportunities that were given to the community to plan and execute the activities by themselves. For us, it is kind of fertile soil or for planting sense of confidence. And competition that we held during the program is an economical way to find the best seed from the community. And guided and well-planned study visit is the fertilizer that boosts optimism of them. It never fails. Recognition by other stakeholders is the watering process of community sense of pride. Working with community is a long-term support program. Each phase has different challenges. I wish I had the third year there, so we can support them with this operation and monitoring and evaluation phase. But unfortunately, we don't have resource. We didn't have resource to do that. Working with community also a long-lasting relationship, support, and become a long-lasting collaboration, such as we can see during the development of virtual experience. And because it is such a long experience, it can be life-changing experience for anyone involved in the process, including me as the facilitator. I definitely grow with them. I think this is my end of the presentation. Thank you very much for the attention, and happy World Tourism Day.
Thank you, Ewan. That's a wonderful presentation, and it's a great case study that I think is useful. Your one point that you mentioned, which I think is very important, is that sense of empathy and a connection that you need with the community in order for them to benefit and, as you said, for yourself to grow along with it. So wonderful. Thank you. Just in terms of time, we'll rush through. The next presenter, Gandhi Marina, is the regional manager for the Skills for Inclusive Growth program, which is a partnership between the Australian government and the Sri Lankan State Ministry of Skills Development and Vocational Training. So Marina's, again, a good colleague and friend of mine, and I'll ask her to have a talk. Over to you, Marina.
Marina, you have to unmute.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. Hi, everyone. Greetings from Sri Lanka. I am happy to talk with the team of Tourism for Inclusive Growth, where the models, practices, and learnings about the tour guiding program in Sri Lanka. An essential element for sustainable tourism development is the participation of key players that enhance the experience of the traveler or visitor who are eager to explore the country. Among them, the tourist guides play a major role in the tourism industry, especially along with tourism value chain, and have the ability to transform the visitor experience by providing accurate information, insights, and local knowledge. Tour guides play different roles within their work, such as leader, salesperson, teacher, information giver, and organizer. Since tourism is a highly human-oriented and pleasure industry, it is very difficult to run the industry without getting the support of tour facilitators, including tour guides. They have become one of the key players with extensive control and influence over the quality of service rendered. Right. Actually, I'm going to talk about models, practices, and learnings. So first, we are going to talk about tour guiding program in Sri Lanka. Actually, there are 4 categories of tour guiding program. One is National Tourist Guide, which is a course with the duration of 4 months. Tourist guide services is defined as a service provided to tourists by escorting them or giving them information and narrations concerning all aspects of tourism interest in Sri Lanka. Any provider of such tourist guide service is defined as a tourist guide lecturer to be carrying on the business or functions or performing the service of a tourist guide lecturer. A national tourist guide lecturer is a person who is duly registered as a national tourist guide lecturer and is thereby authorized by Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority to practice as a tourist guide lecturer anywhere within the island of Sri Lanka. The second one, chauffeur tourist guide. A chauffeur tourist guide lecturer is a person who is duly registered as a chauffeur tourist guide and is thereby authorized by Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority to practice as a tourist guide and a chauffeur of a vehicle with a seating capacity of not more than 7 anywhere within the island of Sri Lanka. And the other one, area tour guide and site tour guides. If we see the main actors of the tour guiding program in Sri Lanka are Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, Sri Lankan Institute of Tourism and Hospitality Management, the Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission, and of course the tour operators. So what are the practices in Sri Lanka? The Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority The Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority's main function is to develop and regulate the tourism industry in Sri Lanka as the peak national tourism organization. Currently, the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority is issuing guiding license in several categories, including National Tourist Guide Lecturer, Chauffeur Tourist Guide Lecturer, Area Tour Guide, and Site Tourist Guide Lecturers. The provincial government have authority to provide license only for the area site tour guides with the confidence of Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority. So now we are going to talk about what the achievement that we have experience through the Australian government program with the partnership of the State Ministry of Skill Development, Vocational Education, Research and Innovation. I wanted to share two examples with you. One is tour guiding program, and the second one, how we can connect the tourism anchor point with the community tour guiding, where can involve the community inclusion into tourism inclusive growth. In the eastern province of Sri Lanka, the skills and employment planning process facilitated by SYG identified that there was no local or area tour guide training course to train and develop local tour guides. It was also identified that there was no system in place to register tour guides and provide a license. In collaboration with the Eastern Province Tourism Bureau, SYG took the initiative to strengthen the Eastern Province Tourism Bureau to provide tour guiding training and to operate a registration process that results with the issuing a license. As a result of this, the area tour guide training curriculum for Eastern Province is now available. The Eastern Province Tourism Bureau, the Governor, and the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority have approved both the training course and the registration system, which is now operational. So I would like to share some experiences. So all of this, so what and what's next? So recently, SYG have done a study on the available tour guiding program with the involvement of the relevant expertise. From the learnings, we understood that the current training course need to provide a lot of support to guides to be able to improve interpretation skills, interpreting assets and Sri Lankan experiences. There's a space need to provide for opportunity for destination development, developing research skills, using digital technologies, photography, videography, storytelling to enhance visitor experiences. It is these interpretation skills that enhance a experience. From the learnings, we have a plan to support Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority with the initiation of Australian government to develop internationally accepted national tour guide curriculum that includes visitor research and targeting for tour guides and understanding what attracts visitors, why visitors are coming, what they want to do, what they want to experience, and how a tour guide can encourage visitors to spend time experiencing Sri Lanka in all its uniqueness and all its diversity. And then attract women and persons with disabilities to receive training, high participation of women in tour guiding training program. Also, Sri Lanka Skills for Inclusive Growth program will support Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority and showcase a model supporting women tour guide through on-the-job training and placement with tour operators. The second example that I would like to share is Particular Dutch Fort Development Plan and the connection to tour guiding and community involvement. Particular Dutch Fort is a potential tourist attraction. Strategy for maximizing the potential of Particular Dutch Fort, archaeological site, private sector hotel, and museum and cultural heritage. Creating wow cultural heritage tourist attractions such as create novel, authentic, and memorable experiences for visitors. Doing, not viewing, encourage visitor participation, co-creation of experiences. Then telling emotional stories, not historical dates. Food, culture, dance, singing, bring the fort alive and using the culture and heritage of Batticaloa. People's history and everyday culture, link tourists to other sectors, make a business plan. So based on this, a guiding tool developed for tour guides to use. Actually, we have got the technical expertise support from Professor Noel Scott for this program. So we are hoping to have near future very inclusive growth tourism program. I would like to share some photos. Actually, the Batticaloa fort, if you see the surroundings, the areas, there are a lot of assets. If you, this first picture, you can see a tree. So during the bushwalk and honey collection, if we get thirst, there's a tree, we can cut a small branch and we can have a drop of water to fulfill our thirsty. Yes, likewise. There are traditional fishing methods and lots of activities, lagoon-based activities there. That one can be connected. Also, here traditional fishing and cultural activities, traditional lifestyle and lagoon-based activities, sea-based activities. There are a lot of innovation ideas there and assets there. Finally, what I would like to emphasize is, if we have one tourism anchor point or asset, it's enough to connect all the other aspects, especially the entrepreneurs from the community with the upskilling. We can link them with tourism and promote tourism inclusive growth. So let's join to promote tourism for inclusive growth. Wishing you all happy World Tourism Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marina. Well done. How do you feel? You feel good?
Yes, I'm feeling really good and happy to share this experience with the panel. Yeah.
Excellent presentation. Well done. So what we're going to do is have a brief break just for a couple of minutes now, I think. Is that okay, Kazim?
Yes, perfect timing, Noel. It was very good presentations, very, very nice. So maybe people need to grab their coffee. And meanwhile, we are going to show your video if it's okay.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are you okay, Ada?
I hope everybody had time to refresh mind, get some visual background of the activities that Professor SCoT and his team have been doing, and we are ready to listen to the rest of presentations before we go for the discussion time. Professor SCoT, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kazim. So our next speaker is, we've just changed a couple of people around. So our next speaker is Dr. Ilham Ali-Munden, and he's from Hasanuddin University in Makassar. He's going to talk a little bit about the Maros Pankit Geopark and some work that's going on there. So over to you, Ilham.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Professor Noel Scott. This is a great opportunity to meet other parts of the world, other parts of Indonesia, and other parts of our geopark. Good to see the presentation of Mbak Wiwin from Wakatobi, and there will be also Mbak Lia later from Sembalun. And this is my opportunity to introduce a little bit of Geopark Maros Pangkep. Allow me to share my slides, everyone. And of course, before I start and going over on the explanation, I would like to congratulate the World Tourism Day today that we are celebrating. Thank you for the opportunity, Professor Scott, for this, and allow me to share what we have done in terms of inclusive growth in our geopark. Our geopark is actually not long. I would say it's just 6 years old since we started to put a lot of efforts in establishing it until now. Hopefully within next month or October, November, we will be assessed by the assessment of UNESCO Global Geopark. Anyway, my name is Ilham. I am one of the member of the management body of Geopark Maros Pangkep. And you can see my first slides is full of colors, full of pictures. And sometimes we don't know that there's so much to tell and which one to show the pictures. I will be talking more first on the introduction of the geopark, because I believe the audience come from various backgrounds. And also there's some also from Sri Lanka, Australia, and other countries probably that I cannot recognize. But our fellow geoparkians, as we call it, probably have heard about this Maros Pangkep. Yeah. So let's just have a little bit of the videos, or maybe I just skip the videos rather than, because you might, let me see, can just go back to the sharing screen to share the sound as well. Okay, just quick 1 minute videos, what you can see on the cars, topography, cars stand for all. That is one of our very highlights of our geoscience. Professor SCoT has been here just to show a little bit the glimpse of the geopark. Initially, it's only 75,000 hectares. Some other things that we can have a look later. These are the landscape. Probably one of the most favorite parts in Eastern India in terms of buildings. This is the Rama and also the prehistoric playground of waterfall, biodiversity of monkeys, caves, valleys, culture, the mountains, it range really from land, the oceans, and the valleys. Supported by Hasanuddin University. Okay, I continue, ladies and gentlemen, just to show you a little bit of Indonesian range of geoheritage potential. This is where we are from. This is where the Maros Pangkep is. And there are some others as well in here, the Toraja and also North Sulawesi and others. And I believe Rinjani already very well known as one of our processors in Geopark. Hopefully we can get also the label as the UNESCO Global Geopark later. Yeah. Anyway, this is the boundaries of our geopark. Initially, it was only land, but now we cover the sea as well, as we would like to show how the land of tomorrow connected with the land of the history, like that. So we have the coral, modern coral, but then we also have the very ancient corals as well in terms of geological uniqueness. Later, I can talk a little bit of how this can be considered as the global geopark because of the uniqueness of the rocks and the uniqueness of the culture, as well as the uniqueness of prehistoric caves in this area. So statistically, these are the coverage, and we have 21 geosites, 4 biosites, 5 cultural. As you know, geopark concept must have the 3 of these ends. We should have the cultural biodiversity, cultural diversity, biodiversity, as well as the geological diversity. And we do have all of this, and mostly they are on the geological background. As you can see, we have these periods of geology, types of landforms, prehistoric caves, flora and fauna varies. So I would say, as I said in the beginning, it's a lot to show and a lot to talk about. But statistically, that's it. Even we can claim that the guests can from the airport within just half an hour, they already can view our geopark, which is the highlights of our geopark. It's very close in terms of tourism destinations. I go on with the concept. So these are, like I mentioned, the Spermondo archipelago, the ancient cars, and mostly about the tectonic complex. This is as part of my background as geology. This is what attract most of the researchers related to geological outcrops, because these rocks here is actually below the oceanic crust. Then it went up to the surface because of the tectonic event that we can see in part of these geopark areas. So as you can see, it ranges from recent carbonate platform, an ancient carbonate platform, and also the tectonic. So very unique in terms of natural geosites. And one thing I also need to mention, the uniqueness of the cultural as well as the archaeological sites. This has been written in Nature in the scientific reports that we can claim the oldest rock art in the world would probably be in the cave of this prehistoric cave in Maros Pangkep. Yeah, I believe Prof. Scott has been here and witnessed how this Babi Rusa and this rock art happen to be one of the uniqueness that probably cannot be found in other area. You can see we have the Babi is what do you call it, pig handwrittens, and so there are many artifacts that we can find in our area. Not to mention the beauty of the islands, which is why we extend our geopark boundaries to the islands. This kind of Kapoposang island where you can dive, you can see the beautiness of the sea and others. That is really worthwhile to sell and in terms of tourism. And we're beginning to have it now. During the pandemic, we really lost of attraction of tourists because they have to stay at home. But now we're beginning to have regular visits of the boats come to this. It takes 3 hours to get to this island, but once you're here, spend the weekends at the, you enjoy. It's like a really wonderful heaven, Anyway, I would talk more about this in the other events, but I would like to cover on the activities that related to how we include the community in this geopark. So as I mentioned, we are not that old, probably like Rinjani or Batur or Chile 2 that has already been recognized as UNESCO Global Geopark. We are just actually started since 2015, where not actually only some junior geologists that are trying to see, hey, look, we have this area. Why don't we just into one, one package as a one geopark that we can propose? And yeah, in 2018, that finally we can become Geopark, National Geopark. And in 2020, we can manage to have a master plan. And in 2020, we can be proposed as one of the aspiring UNESCO Global Geopark, which is why we are having an assessment. Back to the development strategy of our area. I would like to talk, allow me, Professor SCoT. In here, we have sectors that we try to cover in terms of involving community. Yeah. So the first is like we put as conservation, putting the laws, and then also how we connect with the local government to promote, and also community development, education, taking the local and national government policies, and most important that we are now connected to the ministry to develop the infrastructure within the geosites, and we put this all together within our strategy to develop our geopark. So try to involve all the stakeholders, which we call pentahelix. And this is what we are going to focus on my presentation, that we involve the government, all right, the national, the national parks, the institution that related to nature, archaeological institutions, and we also involve the university, the way I belong, and some other universities as well. We involve the media, but most important is that we involve the national, companies, yeah, like Pelindo, Angkasa Pura. There are two big cement factories in this area, and we try to like hug them that, hey, come on, this is not really just exploiting the natural, but we also have to preserve and conserve. This is where the area that we have to bound like that. And of course, we have the community that is most important. I will talk about how the local heroes really try to conserve this area. So we are helping hand in hand to convince the government, to convince the outer international, external communities to help us. So this can be an area of conservation. So you can see later some of our pictures that I show you. This is with the provincial government. The governor, we try to convince that please make sure that the support of the provincial government is on hands to us to help the geopark. And we are starting also to final coordination with the two kabupatens of Maros and Pangkep, the new Bupati, the regions, now really trying to put efforts to prepare all these assessments and everything. But we show them that we've been dealing with the communities even before the assessment is starting. And we can show you. So as you can see in the picture, this is the Vice Bupati. We have one, what we call it museum, yeah, in Pangkep, where we convinced the Ministry of Mineral and Industry to build us a museum specially designed for Maros Pangkep Geopark. And this is amazing because this museum later will be used to convey more participation of education of people who has interest, including the tourists as well. And we still continue to build the geopark network with our national network and also some internationals, of course. We are supported by the Australian government, how the Consul General in Makassar also put hands on us. Thank you for this support, yeah, with the Australian tourism experts. We meet the Japanese council as well, so helping us. Even we try to introduce our geopark into the international stage. I did went to Kitab in Uzbekistan to present this Maros Geopark, and it is excellent opportunity to do this. Back to the community inclusive growth, that these are the institutions that we try to work together, whether they are sites organizers, tourism industry, as well as national companies that we work together, especially like BI, the Indonesian bank, and what else? The Pelindo 4, where they can support us with the transportation and others. But other than that, they all put some CSR's funding into our community development. So as you can see, the point of inclusive growth is really how to ensure all the economic growth can benefits to everyone. So we try to involve the restaurants owners, the hotel owners, souvenirs producers, high schools from elementary to high schools, even university students to come and put all the eyes on our area of geopark. So these are the informations of the geology that I mentioned. These classes that we try to brand. This is the branding of our geopark. So people can start and saying that, okay, now we have this support of the government. And Mbak Wiwin has just, Marina Gandhi just showed us how the tour guide program, we do this as well. This is, I would like to tell that before this, we don't have any official tour guide that, support the local area. But then because of this concept, now we have the geopark, we try to involve the institution, the local youth to have the training so they can have a formal guide skills and preparation and understanding, especially on the area. This is the socialization of the tour guide that we have, not only once, twice, or several times we conduct this for both location Maros and Pangkep. And we work hand in hand to the institution to create these signboards so people can see and understand, and reading package where they can see the wall and trying to understand actually, oh, this is actually what we have. Because last time they just know what the area is, just like Ramang-Ramang.
Okay, can you hear me? I think we may have lost Ilham.
Yeah, we can hear you, Prof.
You can hear me. Ilham's having problems with his computer, sounds like. We'll just give it a second. In the meantime, we might have to move on to our second last presenter, Lavanya. So Lavanya, are you there?
Yes, Prof.
Okay,
Hi.
well, so I'll just, could someone message Ilham, please, and just tell him that we might have to move on, and we'll try and fit the rest of his talk in when he comes back. Okay, so we'll move on now. Lavanya. So Lavanya works with the Dream Team from Sri Lanka. And what are you going to tell us? Oh, I know, you're going to tell us about Supreme Chef, which is an amazing program. So please, Lavanya.
Thank you, Prof. Good evening to you all. Actually, it's around 4:44 p.m. in Sri Lanka. This is Lavanya talking with you all from eastern part of Sri Lanka. I'm really happy to meet all you in of you in this platform. And let me share my screen.
I think that may have been Ilham. Ilham, if you can hear us, I've just muted you. We're going to move on to Lavanya, and then we might finish your presentation after she finishes. Please, Lavanya.
Yeah. Can you see? Can you see my presentation, Prof?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
One minute.
Great, we can see it now, Lavanya. Okay, thank you. Great.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I am going to talk about one of the best model and the program which is conducted and which is initiated by the Skills for Inclusive Growth program. As Professor earlier mentioned, Skills for Inclusive Growth program is the Australian government funded program. We are working with Ministry of Skills and Vocational Training from Sri Lankan Ministry, and actually there are many programs where we have started our we have started our initiation in 2016, and we almost finished the first phase in 2020. Now we are in the second phase. So this is one of the initiative by SOIG program that we try to include more women and person with disability to make sure the quality tourism development program also. I'm going to talk about Supreme Chef. Actually, Supreme Chef is a TV reality show. Actually, it has taken the country by storm with women, person with disabilities and men competing to become a chef. Actually, the shows also empowers the youth through the skills development. Okay, if we are going to, if I want to say about the Supreme Chef, it's better, I think, if I tell about something about the background situation which were exist in the during the 2016. Our initial studies revealed that only few training providers were offered the cookery skill development training. Especially, we have done our program in the eastern part of Sri Lanka. And if you see, so during that time, there were lots of government and public training providers, but the cookery course was not considered with most of the training providers. And also, even if there are courses available, low enrollment were there because most of the people started to follow the bakery courses, and there are around 30 number of trainees who follow the cookery courses. And also cookery course delivered without the proper industry kitchen standard. As you are aware that yes, the chefs or cooks who are coming from this course, they have to work in the high-end hotels. So if they want to work in the high-end hotels, the courses and the studies they need to learn that from the industry kitchen. So that's also one of the main lacking part we were able to notice. And the hospitality training and career were not well promoted. As you're aware, the most of in Sri Lanka, the eastern part, they are really culturally bound, and if they want to, especially women, they want to work in the tourism industry, culturally it's prohibited. They say, oh, if it's hotel, the women who are working in the hotels, they are most of the women normally do not choose this career path, and also they are thinking that hotel is not a good area to work in. So this is the background area that background situation were there. So during that time, the SOIG program started, and we thought, and also lots of after the war, there were big hotels came into Sri Lankan Pasipura coastal area. In that hotel also, one of the big chefs and cooks are from the different part of the Sri Lanka or in the different countries. So there were lots of comments from that hotel that they couldn't smell the region smell in the hotel. So these are the very situation were in that during that time. So this is to eradicate this situation. SOIG wanted to enroll more women, and also, as everyone knows, we are inclusive growth program, and we wanted to include more women, men, and person with disabilities in the program. So as you all know, the TV program competition component become the ideal platform to attract more diverse contestants in all age group from the multiple ethnic groups. So there were 2 seasons. There are Supreme Chef season 1, then season 2. We were able to complete the season 1 during the 2018 to 19. So to attract more, so this concept should go to the grassroots level. So there were lots of strategies we planned. Then there were lots of local advertising campaigns and door-to-door campaigns, flyers, leaflets, and all sets of different types of activity. We try to attract and reach more people to come in. So because, and also it's a very good challenge for us that we need to change the mindset, and we need to show the people that tourism and there are good career path in the cookery skills. So these are the challenges in front of during that time. And so to make sure and to eradicate all these, so initially we have started this Supreme Chef Youth Edition. And also the SOIG, we use this televised show not only for the competition and the skill development, and also we make as a, we introduce and we marketed our destination during these shows also. So especially Eastern part were not promoted during that time. So during this TV show competition, we were able to introduce, as Marina and Mr. Shakti mentioned, what are the tour products and tour activities there are attractive places in Eastern Province. It's also promoted in the show. So you can see here that in the season 1, we attracted more than 600 people for the audition. Majority of the contestants are women. Actually, this was a very good, because the people would like to show their face in the TV, and second, they wanted to see what's the cooking skill, and these are the expectation from the women, and also majority of the women who came to the competition, they did not have any prior skills about the prior tertiary education or vocational skills. And also, especially person with disabilities came forward to participate in that event, because we were flexible and we informed them, yes, there are reasonable adjustment support we can provide for during the competition. So based on that, there are different type of disabled people, physically, hearing impaired, those type of person with disabilities also participated in the audition program and the Supreme Chef competition. Here you can see some of the photos. This is the first season of the program. Most of the women and person with disabilities they were living in the remote villages, even they were not exposed to the high-end hotels. So after the selection and the competition, SOIG did some exposure trainings, and all the trainings went into the high-end hotels, and the big chefs, they came into the training, and they motivated them and they trained them. So there are some photos. You can see the contestants from remote villages of Sri Lanka visited the hotels, and they developed their skills during that time. All these training time also the competition shows went on. In the season 1, there were 3 finalists. They got the opportunity to get further education in Australia related to cookery. And also we are really proud to say that the winner also was a woman. She's the supreme chef for season 1. So she went for Australia to follow her, further studies, and she came back. So actually, we can say that the season 1 brought us lots of learning. So we couldn't say that the season 1 was the best one. So there were lots of learning for us. So after the season 1 only, we realized that, okay, the skills is provided, but there are many lacking parts that, the trained chefs, they were unable to, calculate or cost for the breakfast and, the portions. And also they were unable to consider the nutritious value of each meals they were prepared. So these are the many learnings for us, and with all this learning, we were able to start the season 2 program. Season 2 also, we connected the industry partner. Actually, the people who train in this course, they have to work in the industry. So initially, then we connected the industry during the courses, that means Chef Sri Lanka. And with them, we were able to develop a professional cookery course, which is relevant and endorsed by the industry. So the season 2 also, with some other best learning and international chefs came, and they were provided their experience and the tips to the students to learn best skill. So after the season 2, we were able to positively impact the percentage of careers in the hospitality industry nationwide, because during the season 2 audition, we were able to notice lots of women. They anxiously came forward to participate in the season 2 program, and also to showcase the women as having a professional skill which needs to be utilized. As you're aware, the women, they were not ready to come out, but I can say there are lots of experience were there. There's a girl who lost her leg during the war, and she did, some household work during that time. So in the event, and she followed the course and got her NVQ level 4 certificate. Now she is able to work in the high-end hotel and the kitchen. So these are some of the best experience we can share with you, that those who thought that okay, they are only taking care of the family, and if they want to enter in the tourism industry, they need high skill like that. But this showed that yes, they brought their hidden talents and proved that these women can work in the industry, as well as a person with disability. I can say there's a boy in the season 2 who can't speak and hear, and he was able to compete up to the top 5 contestants. We will arrange the sign language interpretation during the course and the competition. In the season 1 also, we were able to, during the final 20, there were 4% with disabilities also participated. So these are the best examples we can show. As you're aware that these shows should not end with SOID. So this model should go and should be in the system, should be with, mixed with the system. So now SOIG working with, government training providers, and now we are going to work promote the Supreme Chef Youth Edition. So this is definitely this going to work with the youths, and also we are closely working with a government training system. So this one of the way to promote skills to the youth is the TV reality show. So this idea and this way of communication, we are now closely working with the government, and lots of professional building, capacity building with the government, media, and the team also happening now. And we are going to make sure that this TV reality show to attract more youths will exist in the government system in the future. So, and also it's not easy to government, continue this by themselves. So now we are introducing the private partners and to run this Supreme Chef Youth Edition. So in the future, the private partners, they will support, they will work closely with the government and make sure this system and this model will be existing with the government. So there is a video, I think later, after this, the professor and the team, they will show to you. And from the beginning, there are in every step we had a learning. So with all the learnings, we learned many things, and we corrected it, and we worked with the government, and we work with the industry and everything. So I hope this Supreme Chef Youth Edition, the reality show, is one of the way to attract more youths, and this system will be existing with the government in the future too. Thank you very much, and hope, Prof, the video will be played after this. Thank you.
Thank you, Lavinia. We are running out of time. Kazem, are you okay to play that video now, or we leave it till the end? Okay.
Gathered from all across Sri Lanka, these chefs are getting ready for the fight of their lives.
බලාපොරොත්තුවක් තියෙනවා ආසයි මේ අවස්ථාව ගන්න.
Facing stiff competition, tight timelines, and enormous pressure from international judges. Which chef will emerge victorious? Stay tuned for Supreme Chef Season 2.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Kazem. So we have had a little bit of a thank you very much, Lavinia, and it's a wonderful presentation, and I'm very happy that you could talk about that Supreme Chef. I think it's a wonderful program. Okay, now we are running out of time, but I wanted to just duck back to Ilham, who had some problems with his presentation. Ilham, are you there and able to very quickly just finish off your presentation, because we are running out of time? But
yes,
so just a couple of minutes.
Sure. Yes, sure, no problem. Thank you, Prof. Scott, for giving me this. Unfortunately, it's really my connection. I just would like to finish this presentation showing that we really support the local actors in our area. Like, I would like to show this man. This year, he got the environmental award from the government because he's the central person, local heroes, that trying to preserve and conserve the area of these cars, because otherwise it will be expanded and extended to have these cement factories and marble factories. And we really did fight, and we tried to support him with our what we call Pok Darwis, yeah. So group of supporting the area of this, that we can argue that this not only for exploitation, but we want to use it for tourism that can provide more benefit to the local community. So people like this Dembaso, who used to own only a small little house and pond, but now he can manage to build up bungalows, for example, building up the boat to get into these geosites, for example. And this little girl used to grow with these cars, telling stories and trying to infect the people around that, hey, we need to conserve this area by what? By telling stories, folklores, trying to put the folklores into tellings like that. And we support her for the youth, and even until she got elected by the competition to represent our geopark as a youth representative. I would skip this, but I would skip the funding, but I want to finish by stating that the full and effective participation of local communities and these indigenous people that we are trying to support is very important in the successful of creating that no one is left behind in this area. So all stakeholders synergizes to put it together, that all resources that we can make to support. We have one site, especially for only to breed the mushrooms. So we call it a mushroom village. So women and others can grow and develop mushrooms in this area, and we provide training for them. So as you also can see here in this picture, the kids are gathering to build what the replics of the we call it the archaeological artifacts that we can recreate, you know, so people can see and they can make a souvenirs out of it. And also local farming, local cattle, and mostly this, as you can see, this boat is one of the transportation to get from probably you remember this, Scott, getting into there. It used to be only like, well, how many? Maybe like 15 boats, but now they are double or triple of the number of that. Why? Because they have to accommodate more people like that. And because of that, the CSR of the national government, like the Bank Indonesia and Pelindo, the Angkasa Pura, and other national companies are supporting the CSR in this area. So again, having this concept together, we try to tackle the problems that faced by the community by having the concept is excellent. Okay, so that's probably all. So as you can see in this picture, we create mushrooms, honeys, and even this how they use on the boat, if you remember how they take that the plant to create and crackers as others for the souvenirs. Finally, that's all. I'm sorry it takes quite long, but I really appreciate this opportunity. I learned from Gandhi and also Lavanya just now that we need to also develop the chef. This is good. We haven't done this in Maros Pangkep. So this sharing is really quite beneficial for me personally. Thank you, Scott. I return back to you. Terima kasih for this opportunity and that we can learn together. Happy Tourism Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ilham, and thank you for your enthusiastic and very interesting presentation. You know, it's not every day that you come across a place with the oldest or the best or the in the world, you know, and so when you see a place like that, you know it's going to be of great interest to tourists, and that's what you're developing there. So well done. And involving the local community as much as you can, I think, is going to be a good thing in the long term. Okay. Now, thank you. Last but not least, Leah. So you had a few problems with your computer, but you're back, and you're going to tell us about the women. And I hope I pronounce this properly. Is it Sembulan? Is that how are you going? Can you unmute yourself? Sembulan.
Sembalun.
I can't say it. I can't say it.
Sembalun.
Thank you, Leah. Over to you. Over to
yes,
you.
leave it to me.
I wish I could come there, Leah.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. Oh, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm so amazed during the whole presentations. It strikes me at how similar we are, and yet we are here so different with all of you. I mean, you will see what I mean later. So here I'm sharing my screen. Can you all see it already?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay, cool. Right, so 13th July 2020, I invited some of my best friends to come sit under my favorite tree for a cup of coffee. And that was 14 months from now, I guess, quite a while ago.
And since then, we have been visiting and talking, discussing with the vice governor of the province, who have been conducting way too many FGDs and discussions and forums. And we have been also gone to visit the parliament of the East Lombok, and also the regent and his troops. We have also enjoyed a casual conversation with the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy. Sorry. And all this accumulated into our success story of establishing the first grassroots initiative DMO in Indonesia. I hope I don't need to explain that. Everyone, I'm sure, are familiar with the term. Yeah. But during the entire process of me trying to formulate this presentation, I found myself reflecting on this achievement, and I'm so surprised to find several valuable information that I have missed to recognize during this whole time. So here I am. Yeah, there's something to laugh about, an icebreaker, I hope, but no, I'm serious. I would like to explain to all of you what is the difference between these two beautiful ladies here on your screen. Everyone knows us on the left, right? She represents power, she represents success, she represents what high achievement. And yeah, and best of all, she was the one who enables women like me to have higher education. To summarize, I think she sits at the top ladder of the Indonesian development ladder. Very, very powerful. And one on the right, myself, I guess my only power is my powerlessness. I can put it that way. I don't have anyone with me or anything behind me. So here now we are talking about inclusive growth. We're talking about creating employment, reduce poverty, fair distribution, and equal opportunity. Between these four, our powerful woman on the previous slide, she could enter from whichever direction she thinks as strategic, or maybe do it all simultaneously. But a person like me, a woman like me, I have to choose one of these, one that is within my reach. I agree with Mr. Jafari that I myself not a very big fan of the word growth, but you see, within the system where growth is the ultimate goals of development, I think inclusivity is my only consolation. So here, defining inclusivity. In a place where the face of our development is the face of men, our inclusivity is very limited into, women are meant to enjoy the benefit of development. But the thing now is, the problem is development does not always benefits. Development does not always successful. In many cases, here, I'm talking in particular about where I live, development also destroys. This rationale brought us to believe that we cannot sit and wait for leaders such as Ibu Sri Mulyani there or other leaders to work from their side to provide that equal opportunity for us. But we must also work our ways from where we are. Now, as I have mentioned earlier, powerless as I am and as my fellow friends here, we need to find somebody bigger, somebody faster, somebody more powerful to elevate our ideas, our voice to some level where they can be seen and can be heard. And we also think that there's a gap in conceptualizing inclusivity here. Let's agree with the definition given. It's about defining inclusive. It's about more equal opportunity, about fair distribution of wealth, yada yada. But this definition is, this definition, is morally and ethically right. But however, when we scrutinize the meaning of inclusiveness, or we put it into the local context, especially the political context, this concept is against something that has prevailed here for so long, something that is embedded within the system, within the local culture, the social structure. And what I meant by that is the culture of privilege. And on top of that is the male dominant leadership where we are. So here is so obvious. Men are given privilege to access of wealth, access of resources, natural resources even, also access to a political position, and most importantly, access for information due to their position. So when we first started, what we did first was try to define the scale and the area to target where we want the inclusivity to happen. When we women is positioned as an object of development, you see, we are just, we sit there and watch the men to plan and to decide and to implement, and then we wait. So we're meant to enjoy the result of development, but as such, yeah. Well, again, however, that the equality does not happen in that way. So we can't do that. We cannot wait for the things to happen and finally get disappointed over and over again. So the specific at Sembalun geosite, with all its complexity, we decided that we need to travel further back to where development started. You see, as such, we decided that the road that we are taking will be the road of advocacy. So, oh, sorry. Yeah, here we have several girls and housewives that I started this community with, and each of us could only contribute like 2 to 3 hours a week for our cause. So we have no money, we have no connection, and with very, very little confidence. We knew since the very beginning that without collaboration, we were not going anywhere. We then conducted our very simple stakeholder analysis, you see, studying the character of each potential partner, organization partner. And I guess you can guess by now from my title that the result is clear. So Mr. Farid, I think some of you might have known him. I'm sure Mr. Ilham also know the general manager of the Global Geopark Rinjani Lombok. He shared this concept with me a couple of visit today, and as you can see here, our strategic fits them into our strategy, and then we also fit into their strategy. I guess we found each other, and we got the momentum. So here, as local partner, we provide basis for analysis, and from there we co-create concepts, strategies, and programs. Yeah. In time of COVID, when most of the institutions are, how to say it nicely, are forgiven for being less productive because there are so many refocusing and endless of financial hardships. But with this with this cost-sharing method, we are able to stay productive even during COVID. And it is also because my fellow friends at the community, women community, we are so used to work with very little money, and we have conducted way too many forums and FGDs with potlucks. All of us will bring a little bit of something to munch during the programs. And but here, this one here, the conversation, this is something that I really wanted to highlight in this forum, that the quality of the conversation that I want to stress out, the quality of the conversation with the Rinjani Global Geopark is that it's an honest conversation, because both of us, we do not have strong financial support. I see here at Pangkep Maros, you get a lot of support from so many different stakeholders. While here, I think our friends at Rinjani Geopark just started. I guess they are heading that way, hopefully. And so both organizations have no pretense. Our only reason to sit together was our common cause and common goals. I guess that's something that really brings us together. And yeah, so this was the memorable moment where we signed the memorandum of understanding. But this was months after we started working together. This is what I said as the, I applaud them for their approach. when they came to us, they treat us as equal. They didn't say, oh, we were trying to empower you, or we're trying to do this and that to you, but with you. So when they came to us, they asked us, so what have you been doing all this time? And then we introduced this concept to them. We call it Sambalun ecosystem. So as Ibu Wiwin, I feel I'm so relate to you, but again, the difference is you are working. I mean, what you did there is amazing. Try to unite 5 different groups. That must be really hard. But the difference is you have a strong financial support behind you. Here we are trying to unite 6 administrative villages, which live under the same on the same caldera, and trying to make them think as one, to develop this place as one destination. Because you see, there are we found three cross-boundary issues in this place, which so far has been approached in a very partial ways, and that perpetuate the already severe problems of our environment degradation. So one of the cross-boundary issues is tourism, and then we propose destination management organization as a solution, and then the second one is water distribution. Here we propose payment for ecosystem services as the concept solution. And the last one is waste management, because yeah, so far in tourism, everyone from outside knows us as one destination, while the partial approach that has been chosen here at the destination is really giving us a bad, how to say, image out there, because people can sense the polarization, the social disintegrations here in this place. And with water distribution, it now with tourism is developing so fast, it puts so much pressure on our environment. Right now, here we are 22,000 people living of the population, and we haven't counted the development of tourism. There was one time last year, August, we have had 10,000 people in a day in the village, sharing all the resources with us. So you can see how this thing, without a proper management at the destination, could lead into conflicts. And it's already happening right now. And with waste, again, it's the same problem. With a proper management, you can imagine 22,000, we already produce what, 11,000 waste a day, and then plus the waste from tourism generated by tourists and by the facilities. And we don't have any comprehensive waste management. So oftentimes in many forums, I say that the non-existence of proper management here at the destination have resulted in so many dominoes effect. The government is getting not enough income from tourism, and then the investors also complaining about the lack of services from the government on facilities like water distribution and waste management. And the tourists also often very disappointed because the reality is so different from the promotion videos that they saw on the internet. And we local people, we are the one who share resources with the tourists, with the industry, are not part of the development planning. So you see all this thing that is happening here, we are trying to not, I don't think help is the right way to say, but we are trying to give options, potential solutions to the government and offer them, this is what we can do together. And somehow we women, I guess, judging from what happened in the last decade, I mean, this problem has been experienced since many, many years ago. But I guess today, because women, we have a quite different approach, then maybe now we only now that we can see a real result. So these are several examples. It's really now, Mr. Ilham, I'm talking from the other side of the table. I'm talking about us working with Geopark here. And these are several examples of the programs that we did together. There's also some not very popular ideas that we share with Geopark here, that one of the main cause of the environmental degradation and the social disintegration in this place is because how the discussion between culture and environment is divided. So with that understanding, we are trying to work through communication to bridge the gap of communication intergeneration. So these are the kind of things that we did, trying to connect the older generation with the younger generation. And we also here, because we are a women community, so we propose this concept to the local geopark, to Global Geopark Rinjani, to train our friends as women geo guide. Because here, all the men guide, they are associated with Rinjani, with you know, healthy, strong men and English language. While here, in the caldera, is not properly managed. So we assume, no, we believe that this could be, if we manage it properly, it will be one very lucrative source of income for the community. So women really fit into that, the character of this attraction. We don't need English because most of, after pandemic, there are no tourists, international tourists coming to the village. And women also more attentive, more details in explaining what really happened here. Yeah, so these are the things that we did, and there are so many others, too many information that I cannot fit into this tiny presentation. And yeah, I would conclude my presentation by saying that Geopark Rinjani Lombok has changed the development paradigm at the geosite, because before this, there was no spirit of cooperation, of collaboration. There are a lot of organizations here, grassroots organizations, but everyone were working on their own, striving towards their own goals, working with their own partners. But today, I'm so happy to say that not only Geopark Rinjani, but also from academic, from media, from we also have strong herd of supporters from the tourists themselves. Yeah, and here are some important resources that you might like to look for later to find more information about what we do. Well, I mean, I'm, to be honest, I would say this, Mr. Scott, that I'm a little bit jealous to all my friends here, all the presenters here tonight, because everybody seems to have sponsorship, you know, support from here and there, strong financial support behind them. I imagine what kind of change you could make if we have that same opportunity. So yeah, I guess I will close my presentation tonight by saying thank you so much. I'm so inspired. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. And I'll send you some money in the mail. I'll send you some money in the mail. No, thank you for it. Was a wonderful presentation, and
it was.
It's a, you know, it's always tricky when you're starting off. I mean, you've been going for 18 months. And one of the things you pointed to was the difficulties of collaboration and cooperation. You'd think that people, 6 villages, all living beside each other, well, they'd collaborate. It's like New South Wales and Victoria in Australia. We're 2 states beside each other, but we fight all the time, right? It's funny. People are funny. Anyway, well, thank you again for your presentation and for all our wonderful speakers. I might pass back to Kazem. Kazem, did you want to?
Thank you so much, Noel, for this beautiful combination and the presentations that each of them were just complementary to each other. I learned a lot. I'm still learning from you. And I have one general comment. There was some chat message and questions. People are asking about the recordings of this webinar. So I want to invite everybody to subscribe on our YouTube channel. All the recordings are there, not only this webinar from the beginning. We have a video library. And if you let me, I just have a less than a minute quick video on this. Maybe we can just, yeah, it answer all the questions in the chat too. Just a moment. Okay. I need to.
Just while we're waiting, just to sneak in a comment, Leah, funding or all fun aside, on funding, there is a group, Better Together, that are, it's a project run by the Australia Awards Indonesia short course. There's some group of people together, and they are putting together a crowdfunding website. So they're looking for good projects to put on there. So if I can, I'll pass on some information for you about that.
Thank you. That will be a start. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kaz.
No. I'm going to show it a bit later. But what I wanted to say is, I hear both sides that I see it is very important for inclusion. One approach was the top-down and the other one bottom-up approach. I saw that the government and local government were involved in this. Sorry, this melody is at 9 p.m. in Japan. You can find this ringing everywhere. It's just the church close to me. Maybe I prefer not to talk right now for a few seconds. Noel, please go ahead.
No, that's great. It's a very British sort of thing, isn't it? The Big Ben of Japan is ringing. Jafar, do you have that? Do you have that sort of bells in Wisconsin?
Well, every campus does, every university does. Yes, we have.
In Indonesia, often it's sometimes there's a mosque next door, which will tell you the time as well.
Yeah, it's funny that we have a
yes,
church
that's true, Scott.
and they compete with each other.
That's true. That's true.
One they have the melody and the other one has the bell, and yeah, we don't know which one we should listen to. I was saying that the
very typical in my area, Mr. Kazim.
Thank you.
But if I may also add something to this, remember that some of the participants are from the Muslim countries, and it's not only the clock, but also calling to prayer, and that's not a fixed time. That is a changing time.
That's true. That's true.
Yes. That melody is azan. That I remembered my young age. I was waking up with this early morning. Yes, the bottom-up approach and the top-down, when it comes together, it brings inclusion. And some people think that either one is more important, but I learned today that both sides is not all top-down, that to include everybody, but it's the is the bottom-up approach also to include the government. They have to bring local government to let them, what are they doing and how they should collaborate. I think this bottom-up approach sometime, or maybe majority of some, has even more influence to include and involve the government. And for today's presentation, I saw that in different areas, like in food tourism, in nature-based tourism, or geoparks, and the destination management, all this human resource management, when it comes together, it brings inclusion. But if I ask, if you let me ask you, Noel, my question is first to you, that how can you as an academia from outside bring this collaborations and create this in a destination out of your own place? Because I know you do a lot of work in Sri Lanka and in Indonesia, and you're based in Australia. So that is very interesting to me.
Oh, look, I've been very lucky to be involved. In fact, I think Jan is online. Jan is the manager of Australia Awards Indonesia, and then Shakti works for S4IG, which is connected to the Australian government. So I've been extremely lucky to be able to participate in a large number of these training programs through funding by the Australian government, and it's a privilege to be able to talk to wonderful people from around the world who are so keen, and you know, you can see that they're just doing their best to help their country and their region. So that's what makes me interested. That's sort of where I get my insight from seeing the way I try and work with people is to find good people who are interested in their work, and then get them working on a problem, and being involved in that and seeing that happen over a period of time in a number of different projects is just amazing. So that's how I have worked. I don't know if that answers your question, but
yeah. I was involved in many projects like this, and I found that different destinations, they have their different stories. So when I do community work in Japan, I can't do the same thing when I go to Philippines, for example, or in Middle East. So I know different societies and cultures, they demand different way of coordination. So this was very interesting to me, that to learn from your initiatives in that part of the world. Yes, please.
Oh no. The only thing I do is try and have a bit of fun, and so I think that if you deal with people as human beings and work with them, then you know, projects aren't onerous. They're fun.
Okay, my second question is more about the egg and chicken. So people believe that for inclusion we need human resource development, and some other people think that human resource development without inclusion is not happening. So which one comes first?
Yeah, that used to be a problem for me when I was working at Tourism and Events Queensland. I used to think, where do I start planning? And eventually I realized, well, it doesn't matter. You just start. And it doesn't matter which one you start first, as long as you're doing both of them.
Okay, so you believe that is a process. So
yeah. This is a continual thing. You never stop. Leah, I don't know, you know, where do you start? Where did you start?
Where I start? I think I started from myself, because you see, as women, I think we work double harder than men, especially where I am. So yeah, it took me quite a while to believe that what I think was right, because everyone else seems to be just fine what happens around us. So you see, I work on myself, and then once I believe, when I have enough confidence and enough courage, and then I try to find that entry point. Okay, where do I start? I mean,
see, that's the thing. Women are you shouldn't have. Women often say to me they lack confidence, or they but you've got more than enough, you know, to do it.
Because you see me now, Mr. SCoT. You see me now. You haven't met me like 4 or 5 years ago. Now that I know what I need, I believe, as far as myself, I believe what I believed. But then to be able to transfer that belief to the people around me, I just did not have enough confidence. And it took me 2 years. I did my master in Australia to be able to find justification, you see, for what I thought was wrong. And once I have that, I came back home and I was able to execute it.
What about you, Marina? What do you think? Where do you start? Bottom up or top down?
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Yes, Professor. Actually, from my young age, I was interested in this field. So during my working period, I touched in different aspects.
Okay, Maria. So you dropped out there for a minute, but okay. But you've had a bit of a background in development as well. And what about Sakti? What do you think?
Yeah, it's very interesting. As Leah talk about two hearts, I think so. I also believe, as you correctly said, women have very good, how they say, analysis, and for them, I think they realize and change quickly. But when it comes to me, like I'm a male, according to Leah's coordinates, but still I think we belongs to the same community. So my mother, my sister, my cousin, so it's I'm not away from the community. So answering to your question, Prof, like I started within me, yes, but parallelly I was able to bring others who should be critically included. As you correctly said, me alone working in this environment is not going to do the change. So I always make and spend some time with my wife, with my children, with my colleagues like Marina and Lavanya, and try to learn from them what are the difficulties they have, and then I like to adapt that in my system. So I don't feel I am a male, right? I feel like I'm part of male-female system, and because of that, I feel like I go with Leah. Like yes, I start with me realizing alone me can't do anything. So my community, who should critically understand, who should really acquire the power and do that. And coming back to another thing, I think Professor Hasim asked about it. In Sri Lanka, what I am learning, we had these two OS awards, you were involved, we all involved. At the same time, there were some projects parallelly knitted. So whenever we had chance, our projects were using the OS award graduates like Leah in Sri Lanka, right? And we were changing the momentum. So thinking alone, I think it's not the system, it's a fiber. So whenever we have time, we can educate others, bring others in, we can learn from them. So I think I like to request Leah also to think in that way. So we all are human beings, even though we feel I am a man, you are a woman, but we are knitted with the relationships and with the very strong feelings, and especially the tradition. So I think it's not a problem about where to start. When we start, it will go. I don't know.
Wait, do you have a comment?
Well, I started as a top-down planner, but in one point that I feel very sorry that my works is only put on the shelves. So that moment then, no, I think I would like to work something that can be realized. And fortunately, I have some friends, and we talk. And then this program, the MBMPB program, actually, how do you say it? Started as the result of our talk about how are we going to have a project that can help a tourism destination, community tourism destination, in sustainable, not the mass tourism. So fortunately, we have friends in British Council. I have friends in British Council, and in British Council have friends in the Mandiri Bank. So we talk together and find out how we can work on it. But after that, we realized that we cannot only get we cannot only work with an area that have support, because sometimes special area like Pulau Penyengat Island, they don't have support from donors. But fortunately, we can raise fund from individuals to implement a project, the interpretation project and development of a product, and the perbaikan improvement of the organization. So it's not we don't have donors for that, only spirit and our time to be contributed to the community. With that, I think they were more appreciative to us, and they also willing to spend some of their resource. That's why I feel with your purpose, Leah, you will get lots of support from the donors from the surrounding, because I think the good thing about Leah is a local champion. While if the community use a person or human resource outside from their area like me, the cost will be much more expensive. So I think I always try to find champion and work with him or her, because then he'll be sending him to a training or course, because he or she'll be the one that is more appropriate to develop the area, not me as an outsider actually. So that's how I went into this field, I think.
Thank you, Evan. So and in summary, I think it's about one of the key things in inclusive growth or these sort of projects is to find people who are passionate about it, who have it's not, it's an emotional thing. It's not just logical, you have to be involved. Lavinia, do you have any thoughts?
No, Prof, you continue, please.
Okay, thank you. And Ilham?
I would say, where do I start? It's really like infecting communities, SCoT, Professor Scott, like how we get involved with these tourisms and, inviting each others and trying to involve others. So I would say that I started by trying to see this enthusiasm in doing something. Of course, we cannot make everybody happy, but at least what we can do can be infectious to other people, that what we are doing, like developing this geopark. Not everyone involved earlier, but then by showing our persistence, kind of like, oh, we are really serious in doing it. And then, rewards comes, slowly and trying to, and then people get see, oh, okay, let's help them and trying to infect others as well. And that's it. So the spiritful and trying to infect others, then it can be beneficial to them, that finally we can have the fruitful of the efforts like that, Professor No. So building the network, trying to get involved within the challenge and the opportunity once, as it is, opportunities knocks only once, but then when you didn't take it, you don't, you lose it. But then if you really try to make an effort of it, what you can do, and that's what we can have the benefit from that stuff. That would, I would say, where the question is how you really did start. I'm just trying to have this character to be infectious to others, trying to help each other, trying to be part of the community, trying to really, contribute to our society. And one thing I want to mention, one final thing, I try my students doing the community service. Jadi anak KKN, Mbak Wiwin dengan Mbak Lia, we try to infect them. So they are building up the community, involve them in the activities by having the students, university students. This is one thing that we can also interact others to contribute to the society. Thank you, Scott. Back to you.
But being infectious at the moment, Dylan, is a bit dangerous, I'm afraid. But I think you weren't talking about COVID, were you? You were talking.
No, I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about the spirit of being infectious. Thank you.
Kazim or Jafar, I think, back to you, perhaps.
Before Jafar do the difficult job after all these questions, there is one issue of gender. People are asking that what is the role of gender equality in inclusion? So I want, we have a good balance of gender in our speakers today. So maybe I want to pass this question to our female speakers. And from the senior ones, please.
Yeah, of course. When we do community-based tourism, the first question that we ask the community is whether, how are you going to do this process? Whether we have a big participation that everyone can, key stakeholders will be invited, or would you like to have, because time limitation, would like to have a delegated one, such as they appointed people from their village to be part of the tourism team or planning team. And we always say that we have to make sure that ladies join this member. But in many parts of the country, women, it's how do you say it, are difficult to join this. Probably only 20%, 30%, but we make sure that this little percent will stay until the program finished. So we try to make involvement with different ways, although they're not join the planning team, but in the program we try to touch this program for women, for children, or not children, youth, young people, something like that. Since the but this is we also have how do you say it? When we work for an NGO, they have their own target about women involvement, children involvement, something like that. So it has to be taken into consideration. But when we are doing like pro bono in the Penyengat Island, in other part of Indonesia that I work with without support from donors, usually we work with everyone who has passion, and then try to involve women or other how do you say it, young people later on, get them on the board. That's my approach. I think I answer your question.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to see if the younger member of the female group, they have you had any issues that say, okay, if or in your activities that you presented, you were thinking that, okay, if I was not female, maybe it was better now. So have you faced any problem or particular issues that saying that, okay, you and how you solved it or you overcome?
Wasim, if I may jump in, I know you yes, wanted me to talk, but I have to be at a different webinar, and the time which was scheduled for me is already passed. So I have to run to other webinar in a different country. So let me ask the question that you asked me. Now you're asking me first about the top down and bottom up. I think it's a good academic question, but it's not for application. Countries are different, cultures are different. In some countries, up, down works. In some countries, down, up works. In some countries, none of them work. So I don't think we should discuss this to the state and come up with a conclusion that this model is the best model. Analytically, academically, theoretically, yes, but it does not work in many societies. There are still societies that the boss is paid more, the little guy in the bottom is paid less. And if the boss asks the little guy, what should I do? And this guy in his own head, her own says, well, you are collecting the big salary, you're asking me what to do? So it just doesn't work in some societies. So we have to know the context of the culture. It has to be within the culture of context. I thank the panel discussion. It's a very enjoyable. It's something we can stay on for a long time. But going to your very last question about gender, yes, it is well represented in thought and in action and in the panel, etc. But we should also be thinking about generation balance. And in this webinar, we did not have the generation balance. I'm not saying that in the sense of criticism, but in the sense of if we are talking about balance, this was mostly a useful discussion, which is wonderful because that is the generation which is ready to take over. The older generation is checking out. So we need to think about the generation balance. The video, the intercultural video that we use, it was populated by 100% young people. So that would be, the message was strong, it was very good. I'm not criticizing at all, don't take me wrong, please. I'm saying that the other generation were not represented in it. So it was a perfect video for today and also a very good day for the International Youth Day, which is going to be August 12, 2022. So it would be a good place to show it as well, that the youth are taking over and are doing wonderful things. The coverage that you gave was excellent: gender balance, geotourism, ecotourism, gastrotourism. We really included many topics, and congratulations on your delivery, and congratulations on the World Tourism Day. And I have to log off. I apologize. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jafar, and
thank you, Jafar,
so much for your commitment. I know you have to travel to another part of the world, so yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so Professor Jafari is not here, but his comprehensive view of anthropology is still with us. So he mentioned a good point of different priorities, maybe if I can translate. And in different destination and society, they have different culture and priorities. So maybe we need to understand what is the priority to take the approach. But what I mentioned, and I want to emphasize again, is the combination of both. So how this combination work together is also very important. I see many other people in this webinar that they have been doing this. One of them is Professor Nakamura from Japan. I don't know if he's able to talk or not, but he has been doing community activities in other countries. He is originally from Ishikawa Prefecture in Japan, and he has been doing community work in the Philippines, especially in Ifugao area. So if he want to talk, I would welcome him. And anybody from the audience, if you have any specific question, please let us know. The time is past. I know you guys are about 30 minutes behind the schedule, and you might leave soon. So again, some of you were asking for the SCoT recordings. So now let me share this video that has all your answers. I hope it works this time. Please let me know if you have this sound. Thanks again. And we have this library live. You can leave your messages. And if we see questions, we are going to notify the moderators and they come back to you. The result of more than a year of these webinars are collected in the library. So please don't forget to click on notification button when you subscribe, that each time we upload a new video, it comes to you automatically. Thank you very much, Professor SCoT and the team. It was a wonderful day, and I would like to pass the floor to Noel for closing remarks.
Well, thank you, Kazim, and I'd just like to thank all the panelists, all the speakers. I was impressed with your presentations. And it's wonderful, and I'm glad, hopefully, that you can now all get to know each other and talk to one another. Remember my remember what I tell you every time. If you become wealthy and rich and famous, then you have to give me 10%. All right. Okay. So everyone agrees with that. So thank you, everyone. And I really appreciate your participating.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Noel.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you,
everyone.
Thank you,
Pak
Professor.
Kasim.
Thank you, Pak Scott.
Thank you.
Why don't we
thank you,
have tech
Kasim.
pictures?
Sayonara.
Oh, yes. So let's. Who's going to take the picture? I'll take a picture now. 1 minute. There we are.
Yeah. So you can see my background with the Maros Pangkep.
Okay. Well, I've got a picture there. Someone else take a picture too, because I'm unreliable in terms of.
In our LinkedIn channel, we have many pictures too, so you can.
Oh, I took the picture, but only us that opened the video.
It's okay.
Oh, it's okay.
The second group of done.
Okay.
All right. Well.
All right.
Go and enjoy.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Shakti.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.